in my industry, in most industries, right, the person who is the elite, the top of the game, they've always been referred to as the man. And up until now, that person had always been a man. And so I looked at the landscape, and there was a women's revolution, and I realized that I was becoming the face of the company, and so therefore I was the man. And while we had this women's revolution and this women's empowerment thing, I thought, well, this is kind of thought-provoking. This is going to get people talking, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people going, why aren't you calling yourself the woman? But for me, it was a way of going into the guys' locker room, going into the whole company and saying, I'm taking over. I'm the man now.
And when you look back, can you pinpoint one moment that was the most energizing moment, the moment where you thought, you know what, I've done something special here. This is exactly what being the man is all about.
So, I don't know if any of you guys are wrestling fans. If not, you should be, because I'm on top of the game and it's great right now. There was a point where I was the good guy, I was the underdog, always did the right thing, but would always come up short. And I had a match against Charlotte Flair and Carmella. It was a title match at SummerSlam, one of our biggest events of the year. And my best friend at the time, Charlotte, won the title, and it was an opportunity that I was supposed to have, and a match that I was supposed to win. And I was supposed to turn heel, which means I was supposed to be the bad guy, and I was supposed to act out. And at the end of that match, after she won the title, I slapped her so hard that my hand hurt for days, that it was heard all around America, probably around the rest of the world too. And the crowd went mad, and it really showed people that I had something there, that I had this connection with the crowd, because people related to that story. And that's all this is. That's all anything is. That's how we all communicate. That's all how we bond. We all bond through stories. And this story of somebody who had been constantly deprived and constantly overlooked and constantly did the right thing, saying, I've had enough, and I don't care what it takes. I'm going to do it. And the crowd erupted, and from then it's just been like this. You know, a little bit of it, but a lot of this.
And let's take it back to the beginning. What was the dream as a 15-year-old growing up in Dublin?
So, as a 15-year-old growing up in Dublin, there wasn't a dream, right? That was the thing. It was that I had no direction, nowhere I really wanted to go in life, no dedication to anything. I even failed PE. And after failing PE, I said, Rebecca, this is ridiculous. Come on, I think you passed from just showing up, and you've been showing up. You need to change your life around. And I was a big wrestling fan. So I found out they were opening a school in Bray, County Wicklow, which was about an hour and a half away from me. I was like, oh, I really like wrestling. That would be a cool way to get fit. All the wrestlers are real fit. So I went along, and I go into this wrestling school, and I'm expecting to see a wrestling ring, as one would in a wrestling school. But there wasn't. There was just 6 blue padded mats on the ground and a bunch of skinny teenagers. And that was how I started my journey. And even though it was rough and ready, I loved it. And I never felt a dedication to something, or a passion, or a love for something like I did. And I just wanted to get better. And it completely turned my life around. All of a sudden, I had a dream, and I just wanted to be the best at this.
And I'm sure many of you in the audience have seen a film that came out earlier this year called Fighting With My Family, which is all about one of your fellow superstars, a former superstars, Paige. And it's about her journey as a young woman in wrestling, and it's littered with funny stories and anecdotes. Do you have any specific stories that you think about now when you look back?
Wow, well, gosh, so many. Because it's funny, I stayed with her and her family while I was on the way up, and but I left home at 15. I'd go over to England. I would train over there, train with people like Paige's mother, wrestle with her mother, and then I moved off to Canada when I was 18, and then I would wrestle around there. But I showed up with absolutely no money, hoping to figure it out and hoping to make the best of my life as a pro wrestler. And I had absolutely no plan. I was just hoping for the best, but I ended up going off to Japan there, and then main eventing in Japan, and then coming back to America and wrestling around there, and then I gave it up for 7 years because my visa ran out, and I couldn't find a way to get to where I wanted, and I got frustrated and I got lost, and my mom was begging me to quit, and so I said, okay, all right, let me give it up, let me do something else. And so I spent 7 years trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I ended up becoming a flight attendant for Aer Lingus, if anybody flew over on Aer Lingus today. And I went back to college. I did my personal training diploma. I ended up doing my degree in acting because I thought what I love about wrestling is performing. It's being able to be on a stage, talk to people, and so I did that. And then when that was finished, I was trying to find a job, and I was looking over, handing in my resume, my headshot everywhere, and I ended up getting a call from the Vikings. And they were shooting in Ireland at the time. They were like, hey, do you do stunts? And I said, sure, that's what I do. I'm a stunt woman. And I hung up the phone, and I was like, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? I have no idea how I'm going to make this work. And so I went along to a wrestling school. So I was like, oh, I was good at wrestling. So if I can take what I know from wrestling and that confidence and apply it to this, well then nobody's going to be any the wiser. And so I did that, and when I went and did the class, the wrestling class, the person who was teaching said, wow, you still have it. Have you ever thought about going for a WWE tryout? I was like, no man, I'm doing my acting thing, I'm doing my stunt thing apparently. And he was like, well, I think you should go for it because I think you'd get it. And just like that, it felt like everything fell into place. 7 years of searching for what I wanted to do was just gone out the window. I was like, okay, I'm on a course, I'm on a mission, I know what I'm meant to do.
And you mentioned there things like your mum even wanting you to give up wrestling. There was no social media when you were on the come up, and role models were far, far less accessible. You're someone now who has 4.5 million followers on Instagram alone. How do you use your channels to connect with your followers, and how important is that connection?
So I think that when I looked at my rise, when I started becoming the man and everything, I really utilized social media to my benefit, and I think I saw it as a way to use it almost as a political campaign. How can I get people to elect me to the main event of WrestleMania? Because I wasn't meant to be in the main event of WrestleMania. No way, no how. But I saw it as a way to get my message across constantly. I was this underdog. I was this person who had to prevail and had to find different methods to connect with people. So I really started to use that platform, and I would enter into Twitter wars and try to stir conflict, because like I said, that's what we all bond around. We all bond around storytelling, and what better story is there than conflict? So I really tried to engage in that means, and I would use it. I'd always have to win the wars, especially on my come up. Now not so much. Now I can sit back a little bit, but just to try and be as engaging and entertaining as possible, to let people know what I thought, to let people in on my humor, to let people know that I am the man, and it really worked. Like, you saw that messaging then translated onto TV. So I would try to go, okay, does this all correlate? Is what I'm saying on Twitter the same as what I'm saying on TV? Is what I'm saying on TV the same as what I'm showing on Instagram? And just so that everything would merge and be synergistic. The lowest journey was probably when I gave up, the lowest point, should I say, on the journey was probably when I gave up wrestling. Because as a 15-year-old kid, 16, 17, 18, 19, I'd identified myself as, oh, I'm Rebecca the wrestler. I have this thing that I do. And when that was gone, I didn't know who I was. I didn't have that thing that I could identify myself with, and I really went into a depression. And I was trying to figure out and search for what that was. And I did things like bodybuilding, and ended up coming out with an eating disorder from that, and really just trying to figure out, okay, what is my identity if it's not this person that looks a certain way, or if it's not this person that does a certain thing. And it was really humbling. Those 7 years was just lots of trying to figure out who Rebecca the person was. And there were moments of, okay, maybe it's this, like when I was acting. I was, okay, I'm at home at this, I'm good at this. I'm just really trying to rebuild my confidence. But I think the best thing was that I never gave in to anything. So I would always just try to overcome it. Acknowledge the problems. What are these issues that I have? And let me face them, and let me keep moving forward. And okay, what might I possibly want to do? I might possibly want to take a cooking course. I might possibly want to teach English as a foreign language. I might possibly want to be a bartender in New York. And I did all those things. And I think finding out what you don't want to do is as beneficial as finding out what you do want to do, because eventually you'll get there if you keep moving. It's just so much easier to act your way into different thinking as opposed to think your way into different action. And that's what I did. And it helped.
And it's currently an incredible time to be a woman in WWE. Tell us about being part of this women's evolution, because you've been at the forefront of it.
Yeah, so even when I started, when I got signed to WWE, the women's matches were 3 minutes long. I remember telling one of my really good friends that I wanted to main event WrestleMania. He said, it's nice to have dreams, but be realistic. And look, that wasn't him being necessarily negative. It sounds super negative, but it was just almost unthinkable that women would main event WrestleMania. And now it seems unthinkable to think that it was unthinkable. But so when I came in, I was also told, move like a girl. And I was like, well, I'm a girl and I'm moving, so what does that even mean? But I just wanted to be good. Like, regardless of my gender, I just wanted to be good. I just wanted to tell solid stories. I just wanted to have the best match on the card and take gender out of the equation, because it shouldn't be part of the equation. I am in the best wrestling company in the entire world. I should be good at my job. We should all be good at our jobs. So why does it matter if I'm male or female? And that's really what I started to do when I was with a group of women who had the same vision, the same passion, the same goal. We love this business and we just want to make it the best and coolest thing on TV. And that's what we work towards. And there was a group of us, myself, Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks and Bayley. We became known as the Four Horsewomen, and every match that we had when it was on TV, we would steal the show. And so people started to take notice. They would start to realize that, hey, girls can have as good matches, if not better matches, than the guys. The girls can tell better stories than the guys. The girls are interesting characters. Shocking. And we just kept working. And there was one time when there was a 30-second women's match on TV, and there started to be a hashtag give divas a chance, and it trended for 3 days straight. So WWE paid attention to that. They realized that the audience is ready for something different. They're ready to see us come in and do what we do best, which is kick ass. And so they started this women's revolution, which turned into a women's evolution, and you know, it's had its hiccups, and we've had a bit of trouble. We had a bit of trouble getting started, you know, because the whole thing was that it wasn't about seeing more women's matches. It was about giving the women time to develop their characters. It was about allowing us to have good stories that we could sink our teeth in, and then let us show what we could do. And so now we've gotten there. What I wanted with the main event of WrestleMania was I didn't want it to be a token corporate gesture of, okay, it's time for the women to main event. I wanted the crowd to want it, and they wanted it, and that for me was the biggest accomplishment, because when we went on at midnight, everybody was still there, everybody was still in their seats, and everybody still got up and cheered when I walked out as Becky Two Belts.
And just lastly, when you ultimately look back on your career way in the future, what do you want your legacy to be?
Greatest of all time. That's all. I don't think that's too much to ask. No, but I want people to look back and realize that, man, if I can do it, anybody can do it. If you have the passion, you have the drive, you have the work ethic, and realize that I've changed the game a little bit. But there was nothing special about me other than I love this and I connect with a crowd, because I saw that they're the people that put me in this place. They allow me to do what I love to do, and I just appeal to them, and I hope people can learn to that if you pay attention to what your audience wants, then my God, anything is possible.
I think you've certainly proved anything is possible. So we look forward to seeing you make more history. Ladies and gentlemen, the man.
Thank you so much. Thank you.